guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is my first Valentine's Day look. I'm going to be doing a ton of looks for you guys. This is just the first one that I wanted to get up. It's a little bit more out there, a little bit more avant-garde sort of style and artistic, I guess, for Valentine's Day. I just wanted to do something that was really bright and bold and dramatic and just like a little bit more crazy while still inspired by Valentine's Day because it's very girly and pink still. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up and I will see you guys in my next one.
Alright guys, as usual, just going in with the soft ochre paint pot from MAC. I'm applying this with my E37 brush from Sigma, and then I'm just going in with my finger to make sure everything is blended out really nicely. We don't want any harsh lines when we apply the paint pot because then when we set it afterwards it's going to look a little bit like muddy and messy. Also, please bear with me in this voiceover. I'm currently sick and I'm just getting over it and getting my voice back. So yeah, my voice is just a little bit awful to listen to right now, but I'm going to do my best. Then with my Sigma E25 brush, I'm just taking the shade Vintage from the Tarteist Pro palette and I'm just using this to set that paint pot, and that way when we go in with the other eyeshadows, everything will blend really nicely. I'm then taking the shade Bold from that same palette on my Sigma E40 brush and I'm literally just buffing this into my crease. You don't have to be super precise with this, we just want to use this as a transition color and start building up a little bit of depth. Again, this is going to help blend out those other eyeshadows we go in with a lot easier. Then taking the shade Chic, I'm just doing the same thing and I'm using that same E40 brush. I just like to build my colors in the transition so we don't have like a flat crease. I just kind of like to build up a few different layers. As you guys can see, I have applied tape to the outer corner of my eye. This is so we get a really sharp, crisp line when we remove the tape. And what I'm doing is buffing it into the crease, the outer corner, and just slightly under the lower lash line so everything blends really nicely. Leaving a slight little gap between the tape and your eyelid so you're able to place a little bit of eyeshadow under the lower lash line will just make it really easy to blend it out and make everything seamless later on. Here I'm just taking my F63 brush and the shade Innocent and I'm just packing this into the crease in the outer corner, dragging it on that lower lash line again, and then I'm going back in with my Sigma E40 to help blend that out. And I just did this a couple of times just to build up the depth until I was happy with the color payoff. I then went in with the shade Whimsy on my Sigma E45 brush and I'm just placing this into the outer and inner corners of the eye. So this is where we start making our halo eye. Basically, you have to go back in with this color quite a few times. The shades are pigmented, but when I went back in with my Sigma E25 to blend everything out and make sure it was diffused and just no harsh lines, it kind of got rid of the color a little bit. So you will have to go in a few times and just make sure that you build up the pigmentation to the color payoff that you desire. I wanted this look to be pretty bright, so I did go in about 5 or 6 times with this shade. And I did add a little bit of Fix Plus at times to try and help build up that color a bit more. So it just really depends on personal preference and what you want the outcome of the eyeshadow to look like. I then took the shade Mod, which is like this really beautiful pink color, and I'm taking that on my E47 brush and I'm essentially just doing the same thing, building this up in the outer and inner corners of the eye so we really get that pretty halo effect. And then I went back in with my Sigma E25 brush to blend this out and make sure everything was diffused, no harsh lines. You guys know I really like to blend as much as possible, even if it means I have to go in 5 or 6 times and build up the pigmentation because I have blended so much. So again, this is the same as the last shade that we used. It does get blended away a little bit because we are trying to make it really soft and diffused as well as bright and vibrant, so you will just have to go back in a few times. I then just took the middle shade from the Kylie Burgundy palette. It's a really similar shade to Mod. I didn't want to have to take this shade because I just wanted to use the Tarte palette, but the look that I was going for, I wasn't getting the color payoff that I wanted. So I just used those exact same brushes, the E47 and the E25, just to blend it out and make sure everything was really seamless, and I just really got that color payoff that I wanted, that really bright, vibrant pink. So just use any bright sort of pink shade that you have in your collection to add a little bit more vibrancy to the look if you want it, or you can have it a little bit toned down and just use the Tarte palette. I then took the dark brown shade called Smoked on my Sigma E45 brush and I just blended a little bit of this into the outer corner of the eye just to add a little bit more depth. And then on my E57 brush from Sigma, I'm just taking the shade Ethereal, which is a really beautiful gold, and I'm packing that into the center of my lid. I then went in with my finger just to add a little bit more pigmentation because it helps pack on the color a little bit easier. And I then took the shade Glam on my Sigma E34 brush and just put a little bit of this into the inner corner. I then went in with this Zoeva black eyeliner, just a tight line, so when we go in with eyelashes later on, everything will blend in very nicely. I then did a very thin line with this tattoo liner from Kat Von D, just on my top lash line, again to make sure the eyelashes blend in. These are the new Bounce from Bella lashes. I'm obsessed with them. You guys can use Kaseyrayton to get 20% off. And then we are just jumping back to the face. So first I just went in with a little makeup wipe pad and removed any fallout that I had on my face. And I then went in with this oil control lotion from Murad. This stuff actually works so well. I applied it a little bit too high under my eyes. I probably wouldn't do that again because it's unnecessary, but it really helped control my oil throughout the day. I then went in with the Professional Primer from Benefit and just applied this to the centers of my face where I do have enlarged pores and tend to get a little bit more oily. Just makes your skin look really baby smooth and fills in those pores nicely. Then for foundation, I'm using the Kat Von D Lock-It foundation in the shade 53 Neutral, and I mixed it with these Cover FX custom infusion drops. They're just like an oil, and it just really helped thin out the foundation and make it dry a little bit slower. And I just really love like the finish that they gave to the foundation, because it can be a little bit drying on my skin because I have combination skin, so I'm not quite as oily as this foundation is intended for. But I just applied it with my Sigma F80 brush and I absolutely love the finish. You guys would realize that it is quite darker than my skin tone. That's because we're matching it to my neck and not my face because I fake tan. Then I went in with this nude stick pencil. I think this is the shade Medium Deep, and I'm just contouring my face with this. In hindsight, I wouldn't have applied it straight from the pencil onto my skin because I did find it quite hard to blend. So I would say either draw this straight onto like your brush and then just buff it into the skin, or maybe just buff it out as you go. And that's why you see me going in with this makeup spray from Ofra, just to help blend out a little bit easier on my brush. And I actually tried taking a little bit more of the pencil to see if like that would help with the coverage, because it was kind of pulling up my foundation a little bit. So you just kind of have to be careful. Even with a beauty blender, I was still getting the same result. And the brush that I was using was my Sigma F04 brush. I really love that for cream contouring usually, so it's just the product. You just have to be really careful because it does dry down quite quickly. Then to do my concealer, I've been doing my concealer after my contouring lately, and I really like how it turns out. I feel like it looks a little bit more natural and blends a lot better. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Light. I forgot to insert a clip of it, but that's the one that I'm using. And I just blended that out with my beauty blender, and I honestly am obsessed with this concealer. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. I used to hate it, and now I'm obsessed. Like, I love it so much. Then taking this iconic London strobing stick. This is in the shade Glow, I believe. I started applying it with my beauty blender, but then I just decided to go in with my finger because I liked the result a little bit better. Some of their strobing sticks are really vibrant and like really pop and highlight shades. This one is a little bit more subdued and natural. I was just testing it out because I haven't really used this shade too many times. So it's not going to give you like the brightest glow in the world. Then I just went in with my Sigma F35 brush and my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, just applying this underneath my eyes to set and brighten under there. And then to set the rest of my face, I'm just trying out this translucent light powder from Cover FX. I actually really love it, especially when I use it with this F25 brush from Sigma. I just feel like the result looks really airbrushed and flawless, and it really set my foundation all day long. Then for bronzer and blush all in one, I'm just using this bronzing palette from Sephora. I have never tried any of like the Sephora brand name stuff, but I'm obsessed with this. It's honestly my favorite bronzer right now. I've been using it every day and I love it so much. It makes doing your blush and bronzer really quick. I'm using that on my Sigma F10 brush and it just blended out like a dream. I will leave the name of the bronzer listed down below for you guys because I can't remember it exactly. Then I went in with this iconic London shimmer palette. And I just took the bottom shade in the middle and I just applied that to my face using my Sigma F06 brush. And yeah, I'm just basically glowing up my face. Then moving back onto the eyes to finish off the lower lash line, I just took the shades Mod and Smoked and mixed them together. Just taking those on my Sigma E45 brush, the same ones we used before. I'm applying that in the outer corner and inner corner of the eyes, and then I went in with that Sigma E25 brush just to help blend out and diffuse that outer corner line and make it not so sharp. And then I just went in with my E57 and that ethereal shade again and applied that to the center of the lower lash line just to create the halo effect on there as well. Then for my lips, I took the shade Bend and Snap from the Too Faced Melted Matte Lipsticks. I love this shade so much. And I'm basically just applying that all over my lips. These can be quite drying, so I would say go in with like a chapstick or a lip gloss or something first and then just blot it off your lips. And then they'll be really moisturized for when you go in with a liquid lipstick. That's just my little trick and what I tend to do because I do have quite dry lips. I then took this Gerard Cosmetics Metallic Matte Lipstick and applied that to the centers of my lips. I can't remember the name, but I'll leave it listed down below. You guys can use Kasey to get 30% off Gerard Cosmetics as well, so make sure you use that code if you purchase anything. But that completes this look, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a big thumbs up and I'll see you guys in my next one.